Right, I'm delighted to be joined on the first episode of this new series for the Witton Albion YouTube channel by former defender, midfielder, utility man, Liam Goulding. Jack of all trades, Liam, but you were very good in each role you were asked to play. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Paul. Having a good time in Australia at the minute. It's pre-season over here for us, and missing everyone back home, but
Yeah.
it's the circumstances. I'm glad to be out here, really.
Yeah, we'll come on to the Australia bit in a bit.
Yeah.
I sort of introduced you as a defender slash midfielder. What position do you feel that you're sort of more suited to, or which one do you prefer?
It's a tough one. That I've played most of my what you sort of say career as a centre back, but then when I have stepped into midfield, I do enjoy playing midfield. But maybe I get too accustomed to playing centre back. Then when I go into midfield, I look a bit stiff.
Right, so we're gonna talk about obviously your time at Witton, three different spells, two loans, and then a permanent move later on. So let's go into your first spell. How did that? It was a youth loan, wasn't it, when you were coming through at Accrington? How did that come about?
Yeah, it was a youth loan. I was at Accrington, and I was only young then. I wasn't getting a sniff in the first team at Accrington, and I think John Coleman knew it was Tony Sullivan at the time, Sully, and I went on loan there. Then I think it was for a month, but I think eventually it ended up being a 3-month loan.
Yeah,
and it was a good time. It was a good learning curve, and I actually, I remember some games in particular from that spell at Witton.
Want to divulge?
Yeah, I mean, the memorable one is obviously the last game of the season when we ended up getting relegated away at Stamford. And we only needed a point to stay up. And I think it was 2-0 or 1-0 up at half time. And I actually scored in that game. And we thought, we were convinced we're staying up 2-0 up at half time. And then we went back out for the second half and we ended up getting beat 3-2. And we went down that season.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was a good learning experience, and something although you never want to feel them sorts of emotions again.
Yeah.
You learn a lot from it.
Yeah. Does that kind of drive you to not be in that same position again, sort of thing? You kind of gives you a bit more determination not to have to suffer that sort of pain and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. It was upsetting at the time when you're so close to what you think staying up, and then 45 minutes later everyone's down in the dumps and you've been relegated.
Yeah. Phil Chadwick tells me that you scored a couple of goals in the cup game against 1874 as well that season. Do you remember anything about that?
Yeah. I scored 2 goals, and they were both, I think one of them was with my left foot outside of the box, and the other one was in the right foot. Yeah. Just pop up in that game with the goals in the good moments.
Yeah. I think that was the club's first meeting with 1874 as well, so it took us to the cup final.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, no, that was a good game. That was that season. Yeah.
And then obviously you have a few loans after that, and then come back to Witton in 2017. Is it 2018? Sorry, for another loan. How did that sort of come about? Because I think you'd worked with Carl and Gary. Was it at Marine? Did you work with them at Marine for a little bit as well?
I didn't really know, but obviously I knew a lot of players that were at Witton, and a lot of obviously Carl and Gary are big names throughout non-league. Managed Marine and different teams. And I came on loan when I was at Altrincham. I started the season at Altrincham, played a few games, and then obviously got left out, and then they went on an unbelievable run. They just kept winning, and I just wanted to play games, really. I didn't want to be sat on a bench somewhere, especially not in the form that they were in at the time. There was no chance you were getting back in the team. So I ended up going on loan to Witton, and it was a good time. Really enjoyed my time at Witton, especially especially the second loan. And obviously when I came, ended up going there permanent. I loved it. Yeah.
So that second loan sort of cemented the club's place in your heart a little bit, and obviously when the opportunity arose to come back, that was a no-brainer for you, was it?
Yeah, it was really a no-brainer. Yeah, had a couple of offers elsewhere, but I just thought, I just enjoyed it that much at Witton and under Carl Gary. I thought, that's where I want to play. And you get to like the age where you think you start deciding you're working full time. You don't know whether to fully commit to the highest level or just try and get back to enjoying football, playing week in, week out, and seeing where it takes you that way. And I opted for that, and it was brilliant.
What's the kind of the big draw? So obviously you knew a few of the lads. There always seems to be an amazing team spirit between you all, and obviously working with Carl and Gary, you say you're kind of quite sort of well experienced in the non-league scene. What was the main kind of draw for you to come back?
The main draw was really like the team spirit and the team dressing room, and everyone's there, they're together. It's a good laugh. Like there's a few good characters in there, and just that sort of dragged me towards that. Just the enjoyment of it was. I don't think I've enjoyed football more than my second on my permanent spell at than I have anywhere else.
Oh, good stuff. And sort of working with Carl and Gary, what are they like to work with? So give us a bit of insight into what they are like as assistant and manager.
Yeah, no, they're brilliant. Yeah, Carl, they both run the training. They both, maybe Marty will take the strikers, and he still reckons he's got a bit, but not sure if he has. Like, and
He'll be watching this,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, not let me come back. I'll never home. And then, so they both join. They take the training. They've got good techniques and good training methods. So I really like it when they take that. And then in the changing room, I mean, it kind of, the season I was there, it kind of ran itself. There's a lot of like leaders and experienced lads, and you like Josh Wardle, Will Jones. Like the changing room kind of can run itself without them having to tell people to do this, do that. It is good. Like the lads all look after themselves and look after each other, and if someone isn't doing something, like people will tell them. So it's good in that sense that they don't have to do so much of that.
Yeah,
just down to the lads.
The team does sort of seem so organised though. So does that your training sessions where you sort of you're doing a bit of tactics, or everyone seems to know each other's role and their own role so well. It seems to be like a very well oiled machine.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and like the set pieces, they're big into that. I think this last time I was there, got a couple of set pieces. I mean, one come off my skin, but that's still counts, isn't it? Yeah, you have to go through the set pieces, and generally everyone knows what formation they will play, but it does work, and you get everyone grafting for each other. And I think you can tell by when you watch Witton teams, they never let you, they never roll over for you. That's for sure. Anyway.
Yeah, and that team spirit, the kind of the togetherness, is that? I mean, how is that instilled in a team for someone who's never played sort of a decent level like myself? How do you kind of instill that team spirit? Is it just sort of you're a bunch of mates and you get on and you can have a beer after the game or whatever?
Yeah, I think it's like down to the managers picking the right characters. Like no one who's just turning up to pick up money and go home, like the little money. Everyone wants to be there because they enjoy football and the time there, and everyone's mates at the end of the day. Yeah, and just if your mate doesn't do well, you help him out, and if he's struggling, then you help him out, and that seems to be the way to get a good team morale. And I used to like whenever you played against Witton, you always knew you were in for a game of like these will never give up. These I think played against them for Warrington on Boxing Day, and I think Witton would just take you all the way, like to the end. Like you couldn't offer up not for 5 minutes. So,
And let's take you back into the Witton dressing room, a scary place maybe, but some big characters in there. Who's kind of who's putting the tunes on and stuff like that?
Who's putting the tunes on? Well, when I was there, it was DJ Adam Hansen. He's gone
Adam
to
Hansen.
Southport.
Yeah.
He's a little DJ, isn't he, on the side? He's got some good tunes, yeah.
What kind of music are we talking?
Scouse House, I call it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I think we know. Well, there's plenty of Scousers in the squad, so keeping everybody happy.
Yeah, I'm the only. I think me and Isaac, maybe like one old Chris as well. Couple of Wolves in there used to get a bit of stick for. But yeah, they were all good.
Is there any practical jokers amongst the group? I'm sensing there may be one or two.
Yeah, no, there's a few jokers in there. Billy's a wind-up merchant. He winds everyone up.
You surprised me.
Yeah, he's the nicest lad off the pitch, and then on the pitch, it's just this click that goes in his head. It's mad, but he loves to wind people up off the pitch. Will Jones, he's funny as well. He has his comments and his moments. Who else? Yeah, no, everyone was just having a good laugh in there. Yeah, Foley, Danny McKenna, yeah, they're all funny boys. Like,
yeah, and yeah, Billy Smart asked me to ask you who's the worst player you played with at the club.
Who's the worst player? I knew that's something like that. Who's the worst player? Could be him. All he can do is head and tackle, so it could be him.
He just runs around.
Yeah, he just runs around.
So
he's the worst dressed, though.
Worst dressed, okay. I'm sure he'll love you for that. What about the team bus? Who's hanging around the back of the team bus? Is it the same characters?
Yeah, similar characters. They all play card games, chase the ace, and yeah, that's about it. That's about it, really. I used to like trying to have a sleep on the way there to games, but it didn't really happen. It wasn't really allowed to happen on that bus.
And someone asked me to ask you about your best away day. So obviously there's plenty of characters on that bus. Must have been a few good wins where you've come back and it was a bit of a jolly journey home, shall we say?
Yeah, we had a couple of good away days. What was my best away day? Yeah, I mean, in terms of games, used to like playing like the local games, like Nantwich away, Warrington away. For some reason, they always end up good games. Like, I don't know if it's because boys know each other, and then it just creates that little bit more like hunger to win sort of thing. But they were always brilliant away days.
Is a sort of in the kind of non-league scene where a lot of players are sort of moving around, and there's a lot of sort of transferring from team to team to team to team. And is there a bit of rivalry between sort of players amongst the teams? So you must have mates who you've played against. Does that create a bit of rivalry as well, as much as club to club? There's obviously rivalries.
Yeah.
But between the players, does that happen?
Yeah, I suppose it does, really, because whatever you're playing in, you never want to get beat by like your mate, do you? Right? Especially not when it's football and it's a load of Scousers, like you live and breathe football, like so and so does everyone like who plays non-league football, and you just don't want to get beat by your mate, and yeah, it probably does just add that extra bit of hunger to win and tension in the game. So they always make interesting games.
Yeah. So what was the game that you most enjoyed playing for the club?
Oh, game I most enjoyed. It might have been when we turned over Buxton, I think it was it 6-1 or 6-0?
Yeah.
I think like just as a team we were brilliant that day, and I thought like just every time we went forward like we were going to score. So that was probably a good away day, yeah, you'd say.
Yeah. And favorite goal you've scored? I remember you scoring a couple of good ones, particularly last season, or
yeah, I think we actually lost that day, but my favourite goal was the one against Lancaster, which just, I don't know how I hit it. I hit it with my left foot. It must have been a fluke. And then in the top stanchion.
Yeah. We've got video of that, so I'll clip that nicely into the thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll relive that one.
Yeah.
Talk us about the Gainsborough one, because you mentioned about obviously Maka and Martin working on set pieces. There was one against Gainsborough where you smashed one from about 25 yards. You said it came off your shin a little bit, but
they all count. And,
So is that something that's worked on the training ground? Then
that's something that was worked on the training ground, and then they decided to put the faith into me trying to shank one from that far. I think Shorty had a few goes at it as well, James Short, but I think he cleared the stadium a couple of times.
Was it supposed to be on your left foot, or was it?
No, I think it was supposed to be on my right, but it just landed there, and it just
swung the leg.
Yeah.
Right, favourite ground you played at? Doesn't have to be sort of just for Witton, maybe just obviously you've played at some decent level, so what's your favourite ground you played at?
Favourite ground I've played at? Well, I would have to say the Majewski Reddings ground.
Okay, yeah.
I played there in the Youth Cup when I was 18. That is the best ground I've played at. I wouldn't say it's the best game I've played in terms of atmosphere and that, because there was none. You were under 18s. Your mum and dad there, like that sort of thing. It was definitely the best ground I've played in.
Good stuff. And you, just to kind of sum up your time at Witton, obviously culminates in about sort of 2.5 years, but your ultimate feeling as you're sitting there now in Australia in the sunshine, where we're freezing cold here. How would you sum it all up?
Yeah, no, brilliant. Loved all of it, and it's been an experience as well from the first loan, sort of getting relegated. Obviously, it was a terrible feeling, but you learn a lot from it, and you meet a lot of good people along the way. Still in touch with some of the lads from that team, and then the second time and the second loan, just rebooted. Sort of not a difficult period. Yeah, I would say a difficult period in terms of football. And then it just sort of relit my love for football, and it really helped me. And then the next season, just enjoyed every minute, and definitely I've met some good friends from that team.
Good stuff.
And then back in the UK, I'm sure they'd be the first people I'd be texting to come and play.
Yeah, good stuff. And obviously, towards the end, you picked up an unfortunate injury, which kept you out of a few games before you went over to Wales. That must have been quite frustrating.
Yeah. Oof, I've got a sore throat, here. Yeah, I picked up it was a dead leg, but it ended up going calcified, and it actually tore my quad. I found that out later, when 6 weeks later I was still carrying a knock, and I went for a scan, and he showed that it was torn. So yeah, that ended up disrupting the start of my Australia football, but then coronavirus come and kind of saved me a little bit, so managed to get fit.
Someone who's grateful for coronavirus, is that?
Well, no work, but there's no work, no football, but at least I could get myself right and back playing for when it started again.
Yeah. So let's talk about the move to Australia. How did it all come about?
I knew someone who I know from England played in Australia, and they had connections with this club, and he got a text saying they were just looking for a young centre half who wanted to come and play, and they would find you a job and accommodation, and they'd pay you just back home part-time. And then I just thought well, whilst I'm young and the opportunity's there for me, why not? And I definitely don't regret it. At the time I was very should I go? I'm loving it at Witton. I felt like I was doing well and that I could have progressed, whether that be with Witton or with another club. Then I just thought, whilst I'm young and give it a go, why not come out to Australia and give it a shot here? And it's worked out well, really. I think probably only missed about 5-6 games before coronavirus hit England anyway.
Yeah. And it's one of those kind of opportunities that if you you turn down, it might not come back up, later in life. So it's one of those you gotta grab while it's available, I guess.
Yeah, I was at a good age really. I had no commitments. I didn't own anything. I had a car, didn't own a house. So could just decide and do what I wanted, free and willingly, without much consequences.
So what is it you're doing out there, Liam, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, at the moment, Australia's not amazing at the moment because I'm actually doing fruit picking. You do you have a year's visa, and then if you want to extend it, you've got to do 3 months regional work on a farm.
Right. Okay.
I've not quite got the hang of the farmer life yet, and I don't know if I ever will. I've only got 2 weeks left, and then my second year visa will start, and the football season starts up again, and then I go back to doing painting and decorating on the Gold Coast.
Good stuff. And you were telling me before we started recording that team you're with got promoted last season, so you've gone up a level, and it's just pre-season at the moment, so you're just getting ready for the start of a new campaign.
Yeah, we got promoted to the NPL, which is the National Premier League, but it is split up into different states in Australia, obviously, because it's massive.
Yeah.
And so we've got up to that national level. It's the one below the A League. It's very much part time, but the standards good. It's different. The heat definitely takes into effect games, slows the tempo down.
Yeah.
And I've got to play differently, but all in all, I've enjoyed my time out here. Played a lot of games compared to what you would have if you were back home anyway. Yeah. And
what's the current situation out like there? I mean, are the crowds allowed in games and stuff, or what's the situation?
That is definitely one thing that's lacking in Australia. The crowds, the pitches are great. The pitches are unbelievable, actually. A lot of lads back home would be grateful to have a pitch like they play almost every week. But in terms of crowds, there's not a lot going on with crowds, unless you're in the A League. But that's, obviously that's another step above, like.
Yes, there's no real atmosphere when you're playing. There's a bit of a.
That is the one thing that is definitely missing. There's no atmosphere. Like you play, Warrington at home and different teams, and you get a good little crowd on and atmosphere going. There's not really so much of that out in Australia.
And the current situation with COVID, we have to ask. It seems to be quite doing all right in Australia, obviously compared to us back home.
Yeah, well, I'm in Queensland, and it's never really affected Queensland. I think I've been in a 4-week lockdown where gyms were closed and stuff, but that was early on in the year, about February. And since then, we've not had any lockdowns. There's been times where the clubs have been shut, but other than that, life's pretty normal out here.
Good stuff.
Yeah. I feel sorry for all you lot, because when I was in a 4-week one, I was like, what, no gym for 4 weeks? And now it's been crazy, really.
Yeah, it's frustrating, let's say, to put it politely. We're missing it. We're obviously missing the football, which is why we're starting to do some interviews like this. So really, really grateful that you've given up a bit of your time.
No, it's no problem. Yeah, don't mind anytime.
Good stuff. Right, Liam, I'll leave you to your Sunday evening.
Yeah,
and I'll go and grab a coffee because I've just woken up. And really thank you for your time, and wish you all the best with everything out in Australia. Obviously, we keep in touch on Twitter and stuff, and all the best.
All right, thanks. Cheers for the interview, Paul, and look after yourself back home.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Thank you very much. That was really good. Really appreciate it, Liam. Take care, mate.
Bye.
Ta-da.